Yo, 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 welcome back, you guys. In today's episode, we're going to talk about things that are in your collection that are just meh, things that are like, man, why do I really have this? Should have I bought that? Did I fall for the ether? Did I fall for the banana in the tailpipe? Did oh man, I judged the book by its cover and bought this. You know, whatever you could say, there's a lot of times that I've been to a record store and looked at the cover and said, hey man, that looks pretty hard. Let me check it out. Now, sometimes it works, a lot of the time it doesn't. A lot of times I do the same thing. I've done it on eBay. I've done it when I used to participate on the sickness.net, which I believe is still around, but nobody's on it. I think the website's still up, but I don't think anybody's on it, to be honest with you. I was a moderator on that website for a while. Anyhow, I've done it on Discogs and everything else. FOMO is the problem, fear of missing out. Sometimes fear of missing out has me buying things, and in hindsight, I say, dang, should have I got it? However, on the flip side of that coin, sometimes I'm happy that I took that chance. Well, today we're going to discuss where I'm happy I took that chance because I was actually judging the book by its cover, and I was like, man, I had an idea of an artist that was that in particular that I'm going to talk about. I was like, you know what, man, he's too pop. You know what I mean? He's too this or he's too that. I'm not really going to fuck with that. I like that underground stuff. You know. Then you have these guys where they look like they're underground, and it's like, man, this looks hard, and it's like, meh. And then you have this other thing where it's like, this is a re-release of something that I've been wanting to get for a long time. Let me get it. And then you find out what it's about. With that being said, we're going to get into this next episode, which is episode number 10 of the Mint Underground Music Show. My name is Mint, and this is the Mint Underground Music Show, episode number 10. All right. Now we're back with the first one. The first one up is one of those pop artists that I was talking about. I've only known him to be a pop artist because, and the reason why I call him a pop artist is because he's in the mainstream, the radio plays him a lot, and he came in as a part of a group, an entourage of another rapper by the name of Ludacris. The person who I'm talking about today is 2 Chainz, aka Titty Boy of DTP, Disturbing the Peace. This is his first solo album called Boats, based on a true story. Now, this is the album where I was like, man, I don't really want to get it. But I kept hearing different cuts coming out. And are they sort of pop? Yeah, but they're still hard, and I still like that stuff. Can't deny somebody who's actually a good lyricist and actually had great production. With that being said, Boats is actually a good album. I'm glad I took the chance instead of judging the book by its cover and got this album. This album, I believe, came out in 2007, something like that. I don't know, 2012. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. 2012. This album came out in 2012. Some of the standout cuts on this album are Birthday Cake, Crack. What else do I like? I'm Different. Yeah, I'm Different. I like that song. That's one of his more poppy songs, but I'm not really a favorite to that one. Is that super poppy? So is Birthday Song featuring Kanye West. But that beat is so hard, and his lyrics and Kanye's lyrics when they came together on that, it went in. It really went in. I can't deny it. Sometimes I do become a hip hop snob, and I just don't want to mess with pop. But I'm glad I did. I think that's the song that actually pushed me to break. Like, man, I gotta get it. And then there's another song with a great producer, R&B producer, but he also delves into hip hop by the name of Dream. There's There's a song with a dream that's called Extremely Blessed. I really like that song as well. Those are really the standout tracks on there. Now, I got to be honest with you. There's some big names here, and I'm not saying this just because this person was involved in a rap beef here recently. I'm not saying it like on some bashing him or in the energy of you know kicking someone when they're down. That's not what I'm going here. But there's some couple songs on here that were on the radio and I really felt was overrated. And they were really trying to force the people to um partake in those songs and like those songs. For example, No Lies featuring Drake. I cannot stand that song at all. Drake singing "No Lies, No Lies." I hate it. It was the most offbeat, off-centered, off-tune, off everything, and it just didn't sound good to me at all. I don't think that song was great conceptually. Me personally, it was pretty childish, low-hanging fruit type of music for me. The next one is another song of and it just happens to be a Young Money record label made of Drake, which features Nicki Minaj, and that song is called "Oh I Love Them Strippers." Now I almost called him Titty Boy. I give Two Chains a pass because he's an Atlanta boy, and if you know anything about them, they love them strippers. They love strip clubs. So that was cool, but the song was is whack to me. I'm just going to call it what it is. On the Men Underground Music Show, it might seem that I'm being mean or something like that. I'm just talking from my opinion. It's whack in my opinion. I feel like he and Nicki, both who are great lyricists, they're great hip hop artists. Barb's, I don't want no smoke, but she's better than this. You know what I mean? Two Chains, you're better than this. Horrible song. I just really didn't care for it. The rest of the songs were really pop driven and just okay. But overall, if I had to rate this album, I would rate this album because of how hard the other songs that I mentioned, with the exception of what was it called? I'm different. I'm different is still good though. But Krenak, uh Dope Peller was pretty cool too. Birthday, Extremely Blessed. And there's a few other songs on here that I really that I do like on here. I'm gonna rate it about a 7 out of 10, me personally. It's not a classic. Some people might argue. I think that word classic gets thrown out there way too often. If you know me, you'll know that some of these so-called hip-hop classics, I do not think are hip-hop classics. They're not classics. But that's because I have my own grading meter. Now, I have never sat down and wrote out, well, what's the, I'm not going to rate it on lyrical capabilities, production, influence. I don't have that type of stuff written out. I go off based off of the level of feelings, sound, sonics. Hey, how many times did I go back and visit that? Am I going to bump that in the LAC? Am I going to bump that into Tahoe? If yes, it's going to probably increase its value. If no, yeah, I could live without it. It's not a classic. That's how I rate a lot of these things. With that being said, this one I will give upside down a 7 out of 10. Not an 8 or a 9 or anything like that. If it was on the 5 mic scale, it'd probably be a 3 in my opinion. 3.5 stars. 3.5 stars, actually. 3.5 stars. Not exactly a 4 or a 5 or anything like that. But it's a good album. I would highly recommend, if you don't own this, to possibly get it just to have it in your collection. Something like this you probably could still find brand new, still sealed for a later day. Because one day, that's the thing about our music collections, one day this album might be highly sought after. Might be highly sought after. So it's best to have your copy now while you can. All right. Next up is another Two Chainz album. This is based on a true story too. Hashtag me time. Now, this album feels a little bit forced, like he was trying to do the same thing he did on based on a true story one. Um, you know, Boats one. I'm not impressed with this album at all. So this is going to be a real quick windup. It's not bad. It's mediocre. You can listen to this, but on the playback scale, I'm not going to play it back. Sorry. I'm just not going to play it back. Decent songs on here, decent production, things like that. No hate. I'm just being real. If I were to score this one, I'm going to score this probably a 4. If that was on a 5 mic scale, it'll probably be a 2, 2.5, somewhere around there. You know what I mean? 2 to 2.5. So yeah, so I'll say that's like a 4 to a 5, but really a 4, I'm gonna say. So more like a 2 on a mic scale. You know, I as I said before, if I don't have much to share about an album or anything to say, I'm not gonna share it. It just didn't grab me. You know. I do like the album, the pink one that he has. I don't own it. I do like certain songs on that, but this one, Boats 2, Me Time, it just doesn't do it for me. Okay, so the next up is another artist out of Houston, Texas. He goes by the name of 2 Def. Now, this is the situation where I always wanted the album. It looked pretty cool. The cover, the girl with the G string on, facing backwards, dude pouring a little champagne on a little shampipple, as Red Fox would say, a little shampipple on there, on her. You know, what else do I see on there? I always like the artwork and so forth like this. And it features 20 to Life, Klondike Cat, PS13, and Coop MC. Coop MC is hard. All these guys who it features is hard. So I always wanted this CD. I never got on the original copy of this. I would take an original copy still. I still would. However, I waited for the second version, which came out on, I want to say, yes, Southwest Enterprise back in 2021. Now, the original version dropped in 1997, and it was off of Inmates Records. Inmate Records also put out 20 to Life, PSK, people like that back in the day. So I believe that's why they were featured on here, Klondike Cat. PSK 13. I mean, they put out albums for those guys and groups. You know, back in the days. Sometimes I trust record labels. You know what I'm saying? So I'll follow them. So like back in the days, I would buy all the Profile Record rap albums, and all the Profile Record albums, all the Def Jam albums, all the Sick With It record albums, all the Ruthless record albums. You know what I'm saying? All of the Death Row albums, just some things like that. You know what I mean? All the Dangerous Music albums. I would just follow record labels. So I always wanted this one back in 1997. However, I just didn't ever get around to it. By the time I was getting around to it, it was going anywhere from $50 to over $100, depending on the week, the month, the year, who the seller was, how anxious people were. Because sometimes things end up being overvalued because people make an emotional purchase, including myself. And that's what I'm talking about today. Emotional purchase, fear of missing out purchases, and so forth like that. Now, I gave you a basic background on him. Let me get into 2 Def himself. His voice, octavely, just sound. His voice sounds like Spice One. His rhyme tempo on certain songs sort of sounds like he's trying to flip like how Spice One does. But he's no Spice One. He's not lyrical at all to me personally. He's not bad. He's okay. He's okay. You know what I'm saying? I guess I do have a criteria for how I judge people. You know what I mean? But I just never written it down. He is okay rapper though. he's an average rapper. I would say if on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give him about a 6, 7. Not the worst, not the greatest, just average. Not bad though. Because I have a lot of rappers that I like, and they're not the greatest MCs. For example, one of my favorite rappers is Too Shorts. He's not no lyrical miracle guy, so I don't really look for that. I look for the content and how far I could, like, how much am I feeling you. Like I said, I listen on the level of feelings. Am I going to play it back? Can I play this with a girl? Can I play this around the homies? Things like that. Going back to 2 Chainz real quick. That's an album I could play around a woman or by myself. And certain songs with the homies, because that birthday cake song, even dudes and girls love that song. I could play that. Krenak, I could play that around the homies. Extremely Blessed, that's really for the ladies and so forth like that. This album, I honestly don't know if I could, I like Too Short on that player stuff, so I really don't mind that. But that's sort of all he talks about is pimp player stuff or taking your girl type of stuff. So it's sort of limited in that context. He does try to talk about some street things on this album. You know what I mean? But it's not really my shtick or anything like that. If I were to grade this, I would probably give it on a scale of 1 to 10. I would give it probably about a 6 to a 7. A 6 to a 7. You know what I mean? Just because of the content. And some things just don't age as well. Probably back in 1997 when it first came out, I probably would have been into this back then, but I had never heard it until 2021. And I'm a totally different person than 1997. In 1997, I would have been about 26, 27 years old. You know what I mean? I probably would have listened to this stuff. You know what I mean? It doesn't really it has a H-Town sound, but not really. It does have some soulful like H-Town sounds to it a little bit, but it sort of sounds more West Coast to me in some areas and so forth like that. But yeah, I'm going to give it about a 6.5, 7. That's what I'm going to give, about 6.5, 7. About the same that I'm going to give that I gave 2 Chainz and so forth like that. I do recommend you owning this because of that. I do recommend you own it. Go out and grab it. 2 Def. It's a decent album. The production is good. The production is better than the content. You know what I mean? So the production sort of holds it a little bit better. I'm just not into all that pimp player woman slayer stuff anymore these days. There was a time where I really was into that. However, I've gotten older and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You live and you learn and stuff like that. There's just a little bit more value to my thinking. I've just sort of expanded. So I'm just not there. But back in the days, I definitely would have been on some of that stuff that he's talking about. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Third up are 2 CDs. I'm going to start with one. It's a production company that put out 2 albums. The production company is 2G's Productions. The first album we're going to talk about is D-Man of the Scumbags. Okay? D-Man of the Scumbags. The second one that we're going to talk about is the actual Scumbags CD. Now, with that being said, this is one of those other scenarios that I talked about at the beginning of this video. The subject that I talked about at the beginning of this video was sometimes you judge the book by its cover and it looks pretty hard and you're like, dang, I can't wait to get home, pop this open and listen to. That's what I did on both of these albums. I got to it. I believe the first one that they dropped was the actual Scumbags. The 2G's production was the Scumbags. And then D-Man. However, both of these albums were out at the time that I purchased them. So I just bought them both at the same time. Now, put it into my CD player. I said, track 1. Okay, a little different. Okay. Track 2. Track 3. Track 4. Track 5. And I found myself skipping them very quickly. Very quickly. So here it is. years later. I don't know when these came out. Oh yeah, he's out of Wichita. They're out of Wichita, Kansas. Wichita, Kansas. Now my pops, he's from Wichita, Kansas. That's another reason why I supported him, right? So I said, man, let me go check him out. I'm gonna be real with you, man. 100%. Neither one of these albums were my cup of tea off of first listening. However, I came back this past week and said, give it a try. Put them back in. And I started listening to them. And I said, these are basura. Caca, boo-boo. Don't get these. I'm going to be 100% with you. These are so bad. I might want to sell these or give them away. I don't know. However, I always have this rule. If they're in my collection, keep them in my collection. But these albums have me strongly considering breaking that rule. I don't know. Now, I've seen people go crazy over these albums based on the album covers. They look pretty hard, you know what I'm saying? He's got $100 bills in the background behind him in the red and so forth. That's what you see in the brown. D-Man. They raking in bags of dough, bags of money. They putting money in the bag, right? They probably did that, but I feel like it was theft. They stole my money. If I were going to rate these on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give them a 0. Yeah, that's right, a 0. Actually, I can't do that because they're artists and they tried. So I'm not going to hate on them and stuff. I'm going to give them a 2 or 1. 1 or 2. I don't suggest these. Although these are in my collection, both of these albums are in my collection, I have to be honest on the Mint Underground Music Show. I'm not here to cause harm or anything like that. I mean, I don't rap, and I think I can rap better than him. I don't produce, but I think I could produce better than D-Man. And, D-Man's not the producer, but D-Man's the rapper. The producer is like something, what's his name? Let me see what his name is. TM Cut. TM Cut, I think I could produce better than TM Cut. But I'm going to cut it out right now. I'm going to quit beating up on them because I feel like I'm being a bully right now. And I have a platform. It ain't the biggest platform, ain't the best platform, but I do have a platform. I have to be aware of this. And they some brothers and stuff. They tried, man. They tried. They really did. You know what I mean? It's just not my thing, not my cup of tea. If you like it, then hey, it looks good on you, man. This is not my thing. All right, y'all. That about wraps it up for episode number 10. I really appreciate you guys tuning in this week. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff. Hopefully you guys got some chuckles, giggles, and so forth like that. Once again, I would like for you guys to participate in the show, and some of you guys have been doing that. Like, share, and subscribe, but also comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you've heard some of these albums, what are yours? You don't have to agree with me. You could challenge me. So, Barbs, if you hate what I said about Nicki Minaj, go for it. I invite you to go for it. Any people who love 2 Chainz, if you don't like what I said about Boats 2, go for it. If you're a fan of D-Man and see whatever 2G's Productions, and you don't like what I said, go for it. If you agree with what I said, go for it. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Right now, my subscribers are going up. Once I reach a certain amount of subscribers, I will be able to go live. So continue to like, share, and subscribe. Share with your friends. Tell them all about me. If you hear me talking about somebody, tag them. Whether it's good or bad, I can deal with it. It's nothing but a conversation to be had. I'm not the toughest, the strongest, the hardest, the best, the worst. I'm not even the worst. You know what I mean? No big eyes and little U's over here. Just giving my opinion on these albums. So if it's good, then I'm going to tell you it's good. If it's okay, it's just okay. If they're not lyrically uh a 10, that's okay. It's all right if they're a 6, 7, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I just have to be honest and tell you exactly where what I feel on a like I said, I judge on a feelings level based on that. And if I ain't feeling it, then I'm not feeling it. Until the next episode, I want you guys to continue to like, share, and subscribe. Like I said, follow me on Instagram at Mint Underground. I'm also on Facebook as Mint. What am I? I think I'm Mint Underground Music Man. Music Man, Mint Underground, something like that. I really can't remember. Go follow me in those areas. In the meantime, Two Stokes, I'm out. I am Mint, and this is the Mint Underground Music Show, episode number 10.